Today we're doing a review on some of the nicest electronic ear pro that I've worn to date. Hearing protection is one of those things that, of course, is a must, but for whatever reason, people are often willing to cheapen out on it. They'll just use crappy foam plugs, or they'll use crappy, lawnmower type grade ear pro, which, don't get me wrong, that works, but they're willing to spend all this money on firearms, ammunition, optics, accessories, but it just still shocks me how much cheap ear pro I see at the range, especially those worn by some serious students, guys who train a lot, guys who compete a lot. They still just, pinch pennies when it comes to their ear pro. And in my opinion, ear pro is one of the most important accessories to have at the range, because not only is it something that I want to protect my hearing, but it's something I want to be comfortable as well. My name is Dave Tim from Guns and Tactics. Thank you guys very much for spending a few minutes checking out this video of my review of the OTTO NoizeBarrier Range SA electric over-the-ear style hearing protection. And right up front, I gotta say, this is probably the nicest electric ear pro that I've worn to date. Now, let's just get some of the pricing and specs and disclosure out of the way. It is available with an MSRP of $400, and that is street price from a lot of online vendors. And I know that's kind of a steep pill to swallow, but if you're spending a lot of time at the range like I am, I teach, I go to matches, I go to competitions, I go to training events, I'm wearing these quite often for 10, 12 hours, multiple days a month, and countless days a year then. And for me, having good quality ear pro is well worth it. Now, I did receive a little bit of a discount, but I actually did buy these. I bought them with an industry discount. So you might be thinking I have buyer's bias, meaning that I want to like what I buy, but the reality is if I hated these or whatever, I would just simply return them or sell them. But I gotta say, I'm actually really impressed. So how I got started with the OTTO is a few people that I know were running the OTTO. They have a smaller, like, earbud style that looked actually really cool. But for the amount that I do teaching and at the range and etc., I wanted a traditional over-the-ear style, just because it's easier for me to pop them on and off and have them in the bag or whatever. And they take AAA batteries, so it's super easy to update batteries or whatever. So I went with this style, and traditionally I was running MSA Sordens, and these MSA Sordens, I've had these for, I don't know, probably 10 years, and then I've also upgraded them to another pair. And I have to say that the quality of the Sordens over the years, like this pair sounds different than this pair, and I have no idea why. They're the exact same model, they're just, this is years newer, but in my opinion, the old ones actually sound better. And these are like 300 some bucks. And I like these enough to where I bought these for all my team. But the reality is, when I had a chance to try these out, these are better. I'll get into some of the details why, but these are a much better product. And for me, when I'm looking at something, when I have something that works perfectly well, why would I switch? Well, I had a bunch of people that I trust and respect say, dude, you got to check these out. So I did, and I'm glad I did. I'm actually going to be getting rid of my Sordens, and I'm transitioning all the time to these. Now, these are, like I said, the over-the-ear style. And how they come out of the box is without this pad. So I'll take that off here in a second. These off here. And then I added just a little loop of paracord so I can hook it on my range belt when I'm at the range. But these are them right here, and they didn't come with this cord. I'll talk about this cord here in a little bit. They look very similar to a traditional style ear pro, and in fact, when I first saw them online, I thought, this battery compartment and everything might be just a little bit bulky, and they are a little bit bigger when you compare them to the Sordens. The Sordens are a little slimmer. But wearing them, I've shot rifle, I've shot matches, I've shot training events. You'll be seeing all sorts of footage of me shooting them. I've shot these all summer, and they have absolutely been super comfortable to wear, and they've held up amazingly well. I did replace the batteries once. They say you get up to about 72 hours of constant use, but they have had no real issues with battery-wise for me. Now, one of the things that I really did like, speaking of batteries, is that right there, that's the battery compartment. And it takes one AAA battery on each side, just like so. And then this rubber gasket cover acts as your waterproofing and your lid, so you don't have to worry about, like with the Sordens, trying to pop them out and doing the little dance to get the batteries to move out or whatever. So I like the fact that it's one AAA on each one. I ran lithiums in them for a while, no issues there. And then it does have the activation and the plus and minus volume right there on the bottom. Real easy. The only thing I did find is that these little tabs, I'm gonna get a close-up shot, these little tabs that hold the battery in, you just have to make sure that you align the gasket, this little gasket right there on the edge. You have to make sure you align that on the outside of that tab as you kind of go in, and then press in, and then you'll obviously repeat for the other side, making sure that you're on the other side of the little tab, and then the rest of it just presses right in like so, and you have your seal. Now, when I was looking at these, I noticed on the bottom we have these two threaded receptacles, and I reached out and I asked what these are for. Well, they do make a comms version where you can integrate radio communication like a boom, and the boom simply secures to that. And then that, if I can get it here, it's kind of a stiff plug. There's this other little port right here that takes two-prong plug. So I asked, I said, well, hey, is there an option to have an input only? This port on the opposite side is empty. It doesn't do anything since these are the non-comm version. The comm versions are a little bit more money. But anyways, I reached out and I said, hey, I would love it, being a full-time LE, if I could have just a little plug that would go to my two-way radio, so I could have kind of a patrol-ready ear pro. So I can still listen to my radio and engage, but I have that increased situational awareness and ear pro if I was going to grab a rifle. So I actually keep these with my rifle. So yes, they do make this little cable here. So this cable, this two-prong end plugs into the ear pro here, and then it does have this little coiled cable with a little jack, or excuse me, a little plug that goes into the jack on the side of the radio, and it works great. Now, you're probably thinking to myself, well, yeah, other ones have this too. The Sordens had a little input here, but this does not work. It does not work with MP3 players that I've tried. It does not work with radios that I've tried. I've reached out and they said that the output power of the source has to be so much or whatever. I can never get the Sordens to work with my radio reliably well. So that was always a con of mine. So I just relied on the speaker emitting sound and then the microphones picking it up. Whereas this, I plug this right into my radio. Now, as I'm wearing the ear pro, I would don them, I would plug it into my radio, and then I could, operate operationally as an operator in operations. So there's that. But I thought that was really great. Now, as far as how they sound, the two microphones right here pick up stereo audio, but I have to say the audio quality is what sold me on these. Not to mention the comfort. I'll get into that here in a little bit too. But they sound amazing. They sound way better than the Sordens. I'm not an audiophile, so I can't tell you like, oh, the hertz frequencies of the mid, I don't know the technical jargon, but I can just tell you to my ear, and I have pretty good hearing, these sound way better. And the 360 degree, they have a term for it. 360 degree advanced situational awareness. I don't know how they do that, but it actually really works. So like if the microphones are facing forward, and something is behind me, like if it was over there by my computer was making noise while I was wearing these, I can actually hear in my ears that it's coming from back there. And it is stereo, so if something is on this side, it goes in this ear, if something on that side, it goes in this ear, but I have no idea if there's like multiple speakers inside here or what, but I can hear directionally front, back. It's awesome. So if I'm at a training class, and all of a sudden someone says something behind me or whatever, I know who it's coming from. I know, if I'm clearing a building, if I hear something. So these are really, really cool. And in my opinion, they do improve your hearing. So it does kind of give you bionic hearing. One aspect that I really like about wearing electronic ear pro is that it usually enhances audio. It uses these two microphones here, so even stuff that I probably couldn't hear with my naked ear is amplified, and I can actually get a little bit of a tactical advantage with electronic ear pro. So it works out really well for that. Plus this ear pro is smart enough. It has processors or computers or electronics or whatever, I don't know what the technical term is, but if you go to some of the cheaper ear pro, as soon as it hears something loud, it basically just turns off everything. So as soon as it hears a gunshot or an explosion or whatever you're trying to protect your ears from, the ear pro just turns off. So I can't hear a conversation, whereas these and some of the other nicer stuff that's on the market, they filter out the loud stuff and then they allow you to keep the quiet stuff. But I was at matches talking to other shooters at classes when it wasn't my turn to shoot or whatever, and I could easily have a conversation very comfortably, very quietly and discreetly without bugging anybody else, but yet I wasn't hearing the range noise, the shooting, which is just awesome. These things, gotta say, again, I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm pretty impressed. So the top band here is your standard metal band with this kind of rubber coating, and then it has the cord. It's a real thick, heavy-duty cord that goes from cup to cup, which is great. Now, it doesn't come with a pad. It does work with a traditional pad. This one, I can't remember who makes this, a Canadian company, but I like the pads. I put it on there, and then I also put my loop of paracord in there as well, like so. And then I put the pad on, and then I can loop this to my belt. I have a little loop deal, ear pro attachment on my belt so I don't lose my ear pro. You could, use the frame as well, which is what I was doing, but I didn't want to do that. So I just like the paracord loop in this, but it does not come with that. So that's one thing. I wish maybe for the price it did come with a pad. I think that would be fair. So if I had one grape, that would probably be it. A point to make on comfort is because the headband is, I don't know if we can quite see it on camera, but it is a nice metal band underneath this. You can actually shape and bend it. So if you find that it's a little, too tight or compressing on your head, you can kind of reshape this a little bit. And there was times when I actually found that I needed to snug it up a little bit when I was doing some more active movement to keep this tension here on my ears to keep it, on my head. So no issues there. If it was too tight, you could kind of loosen it up. If it was too loose, you could kind of tighten it up. So very sturdy there. Speaking of comfort, as far as adjustment, because obviously everyone's head is a little different size, the slider system here has these frames that come down and you can adjust it back and forth. And you probably have, probably close to 1 inch of travel up and down. So it makes fitting your head just fine. Additionally, if you don't want to use the headband, you can also get hardware that will mount this to a helmet. So if you have a high cut style helmet, you could then adapt this ear pro to the helmet. Now, as far as the design, the cups just pop out. They have a nice O-ring and they're labeled. So they'll even say like top, if you guys can see that. And then you'll know which way it goes, and it has an O-ring sealing it. And these cups are very comfortable, nice to use. It has a filter, and I've washed these a couple times. Like after the summer, I noticed that it did get, a little bit sweat stained or whatever. But I was able to wash these out and just rinse them out with some mild soap, let them dry, and put them right back in. And then in here is the actual speaker. And again, I don't know if there's multiple speakers or whatever to kind of give you that left, right, forward, back, whatever, but it works, and it works really, really well. I was super impressed. So once you get everything back together, you put the filter of the screen in, you line up the cup, and it just snaps right in, and the O-ring seals everything up. Now, as far as specs go, you can get the full spec sheet from OTTO Engineering. I'll also probably put that up as you're watching now. But basically, you get a 72-hour talk time, and they do have a battery idle shutdown feature. So that means that if you're not doing anything, if it's not detecting anything, it's going to kind of try to save that battery. It does have a 23 decibel reduction rate. So the NRR, noise reduction rating, is 23 decibels. It is compliant to a bunch of mil-spec specifications, 810G, auto shutdown after 2 hours, and it has a normal operating temperature range of -40 Celsius to +71, whatever the metric conversion that is, but it's really cold, really hot, so that's great. U.S. country of origin, so it is Berry Amendment compliant, which is awesome. And then it does also have waterproof rating, full meter, up to 31 minutes, and a 1-year warranty. So in conclusion, I really, really like these. I was really impressed with how they sounded, the build quality, everything about them really did exceed my expectations. Again, I was kind of concerned about the bulkiness, didn't really notice it even when shooting rifles. I was still able to get a good cheek weld and still able to get some good rounds. It has kind of a contoured edge right here, which, did that really make that much of a difference? Well, I don't think it hurt. So like I said, no issues shooting rifles, whether it be precision rifles or semi-auto rifles or matches or whatever. And I loved how comfortable they were. I loved how I could hear everything around. And what's awesome is that not only did it enhance hearing, but it's also smart enough to figure out, okay, I'm gonna make the gunshots quiet, but the conversation still amplified so I can hear the person. Whereas on the cheaper ear pro, as soon as it hears something loud, it just turns everything off. These don't do that. These really, really are awesome. For more information, you can check them out online, otto-com.com. It's 2 M's in the first com. I'll put a link down there. Otherwise, you can find them on social media. Their handle generally is Auto Excellence. These guys are really well known for a lot of military and enterprise industrial contracts when it comes to communication equipment, and now they have this product available, and I really think they hit it out of the park. These are really, really nice. This is pretty much all I'm gonna run now, and I'm probably gonna even buy another set and recommend it highly to everybody that I know because These are awesome. Everybody that I've let try them out was really, really impressed with the audio quality, and I've been really impressed with the comfort as well, which is a big deal to me. So I highly recommend them. That is my review. 2 thumbs up, 2 eardrums amplified, 2 ears up, I don't know. But they really, really are awesome. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Tell your friends about the channel. We want to keep growing. Check us out online for more information, the latest articles, and we also have a QA segment where at the end of the month, I answer your questions. So don't be afraid to send us a question at the email address shown below. Thank you guys very much for watching, and have a great day. We work really hard to make content that we hope you as a shooter would enjoy. Subscribe to our channel, check out our featured videos and playlists, and if you have a question firearms related, go ahead and send an email to the address shown on the screen to be entered into our monthly QA series.